I'm going to save this orchid from the trash. Hi guys, welcome back to my channel, The Determined Gardener. How are you doing today? I just happened to be shopping and came across this sad looking orchid. It was on the shelf of one of the big box stores, and you can see how badly it's been mistreated. And it hasn't been on purpose. It's just that some of these employees don't know how to actually care for orchids. So I am going to repot it, and I'm going to save it from the trash, and I'm going to show you how. First of all, I want to start off with what's the biggest problem with this orchid. And it's not because it looks almost dead. It's because it's in the wrong pot. If you ever see an orchid in a pot like this that has very little drainage, or actually it has no drainage, it's in a glass pot, do not buy it. And that is probably the main reason why this orchid is suffering. So the first thing we're going to do is take it out of this pot and put it in a pot that is actually better for it, that has holes and drainage. So first thing, we're gonna see what we're working with, right? So we're gonna take the orchid. Wow, you can see how dry this orchid is. And that's because it doesn't have much water. They haven't watered it. So right now I'm going to just remove all this dry medium that is really not doing this orchid any good. After we finish repotting it, we are going to water it. What I think I'm going to do first is water this to make it easier to get it out, because I don't want to break any of the roots. Now what you should do is use a spray bottle, but for the sake of time, because this is so dry, what I have is a pot of lukewarm water, and what I'm going to do is dunk the orchid in there and bring it back to life because it is so dry. And you can see that the roots are turning green. Just take a look compared to the silvery, which is dry, and now the green. So this orchid is actually pretty healthy. It just needs some TLC. When you're doing this, just make sure you don't get any water in the crown, because that could damage and lead to root rot. This is a pretty good orchid because you can tell it has 2 spikes right here. So it's one of those orchids that are giving you 2 spikes. When I'm usually shopping, I usually find 1 spike orchids. So this one is definitely worth saving. And since we're soaking this in lukewarm water, after we repot this, that means that we don't have to water. So that's a good thing. And you want to be careful when it comes to watering. Water your orchid. My suggestion is, what I do is I water it maybe once a week, twice a week is okay. You look at the leaves to tell whether it wants to be watered. If the leaves are nice and sturdy and the roots are green, then skip watering. But if it's that silvery coloring, then you want to water. We're going to carefully remove this moss, and you can see right here it's still dry, but it's easy enough now compared to earlier when it was so dry and it almost felt like a rock. So we're going to get in there. Just take your time. The roots are really good here. So what we're going to do next is cut off any roots that are damaged. And you can tell the damaged ones, they look like this. So something like this can't be saved, right? It should look like this. Should be nice and green and sturdy. So we're going to cut off anything that looks just straggly and just ugly, brown, dark. And we want to get all in there to get all of this out. It's recommended that you don't use this type of material because it holds a lot of water and moisture. And moisture is good for your orchids, but if you use too much water or you water your orchids a little too much, you will actually kill it. And that's what, unfortunately, some people do when it comes to orchids. You really just want to water it at least maybe once a week. So we're getting all in there. You can see the center of the orchid. And I just forgot to remove these poles, so you will just take these spikes out. And this orchid has two stems, which is really, really good. And it's really healthy despite the way it looks. So you should have shears like this, so you can use just very sharp scissors. I sterilize these shears with alcohol, and now I'm just going to cut the damaged roots. And they're not too many, which is really good for this orchid. As I said before, this is a healthy orchid. It was just not taken properly care of. So something like this, you can see right here, not good. You want to cut it as close to the base. And you just want to keep looking, look around. See, this one is pretty good, but I'm just going to cut the tip right here. And right here too. The ones that are left like this are these little strings. If it doesn't have this thing around it, because that's where the moisture comes from, you might as well just cut it because it's going to be useless. And you can just see the roots. Looks really nice. This one is very dry, but once it gets water on it, it's going to plump up. So I'm going to leave that there. And I'll just give you the inside look at the roots. Looks really good. Now this orchid has very floppy leaves. If your leaves are floppy like this, that's an indication that it's not getting enough water. It's not getting enough light. Overall, if your leaves are looking like this, very floppy, you see, it's supposed to be stiff. If it's floppy like this, that means that you have an unhappy orchid and you want to repot or put it in a sunny spot. When I say sunny, I don't mean bright sun where the sun is directly on it. What I mean is indirect sun. So you should either move your orchid or water it less. But it all depends, right? You have to really be aware of what your orchid likes and how you're treating your orchid. So if you have it in an area where it's too much sun, you want to remove it from that area and have more indirect light. If you have your orchid in an area where it's drafty, that orchid is also going to tell you that it's not happy. If you're watering your orchid too much, the leaves start to crinkle like so, like you have very crinkly leaves like you see right here. So this is very moist and damp. You don't want to put your orchid in this because it holds extra moisture. You want to actually use a potting mix for orchids. That way it mimics what it's like in the wild. Okay, so you want to start off with a clean slate. This is the orchid mix right here. It has fir bark, which helps mimics the natural environment of the orchid in the wild. It also has charcoal, which helps with airflow, and perlite, which helps with drainage. So I'm going to fill the pot, the bottom, like so. And then I am going to get my rescue orchid and lay it like that, like so. Okay. And then I'm just going to fill it on all sides. You don't want to stuff it down. You just want to place it down as easy as possible. You don't want to push. And if you have any stems out, it's okay, but I like to just put it in the pot. And we are going to fill this pot with more bark. You don't have to stuff. You can make it as loose as possible because orchids grows on trees. so you don't have to stuff the pot. Just make sure that all sides are covered evenly. Okay. And what I'm going to do is actually use some of this sphagnum moss. I don't know what it's called, but I'm not going to use it the way they did. I'm just going to tuck it in. At the top. Because it is good to retain moisture, but not so much of it. So I'm not going to throw it away. I am going to use it because it is coming to good use. This is an area in my house that gets indirect sun. It gets morning sun and afternoon shade, the bay window. So this is a very good, perfect spot for my orchid to rejuvenate. Since we already watered this orchid, we're not going to water it again. We're going to wait maybe a week and a half and see how it's doing. And then hopefully it'll look so much better. What I'm going to do also is give it a little bit of wipe down so the sunlight will penetrate the leaves, because these leaves look a little dirty. You can see right here at the tip. Wow, this orchid really needed saving. So I think this orchid's going to be so much more happier here. And you can see right here that it is alive. So it just needs a little TLC. And now that we've given it, this orchid is probably going to do so much better. And you can see the stems right here, that it's a very healthy stem. So we're going to monitor this orchid and see what it looks like. And I will be showing you the results in the next couple of weeks. It will take a while because this orchid was treated poorly. So I'm thinking maybe in the next month or so, I will be doing another video to show you how this orchid is doing. So guys, this is a time when lots of people are getting these beautiful plants during the holiday season or for a gift. If you know of anyone who is struggling to take care of their orchid or needs a step-by-step way on how to repot them, please share my video with that person. The tips that I've given in this video are very helpful, and they will help to keep orchids thriving and healthy. You can see this one is a beautiful one that I have in my hand. I got this one because of the wonderful striped color. And you can tell when an orchid is healthy from the one that we repotted, because look at the leaves. It's actually standing up, right? And it's stiff. So that's what you want your orchid to be, just like this. Stiff, leaves nice and sturdy, and you can tell that it actually has some buds now growing. And so if you, again, have a friend who is struggling with making sure that their orchid is healthy, please share this video with them because it will help them a lot. Thank you so much for joining me here on my channel, The Determined Gardener. Do me a favor and hit that sub button, like this video, and share it with your family and friends. I will be doing numerous orchid videos throughout the winter months to show you how to take care of your orchid during the cold season. You can see mine are continuing to thrive, and I want to share those tips with you. So again, subscribe to my channel, hit that notification button so you don't miss any upcoming videos. Again, thank you so much for joining me. Until next time, everyone, happy gardening.